Hello, everyone. I have not recorded at all in 2025, so why not from central Germany while I'm experiencing jet lag after flying yesterday from Bangkok? Yes, Geoff is traveling around the world for the second time in 2 years. It's 24th of July, 2025, and I'm going to take a look at my longest flight ever, an ATR 72 in Southeast Asia, and a first class points ticket in Seat 1A. Thank you for listening to us today. If this is the first time listening to this podcast, welcome aboard. If you're a returning listener, we're glad you're back. Seat 1A provides tips and tricks from more than 5 million miles worth of flying to help you take off from the crowd. So yes, this is I'm in the middle of a round-the-world trip. Part of it was to meet a group of friends in Vietnam, and so that was the impetus for me to travel. Last October, I had started to poke around and found a really good points flight with Aeroplan from Air Canada, and that was from Bangkok to Frankfurt via Muscat, of all locations, and I'll get to that in a moment. And so I had spent the early part of the year booking through the information, figuring things out, and then a few other interesting legs showed up along the way. So I'll go over what's going on, and we'll get this posted. There are some things that I'm going to share more frequently through the end of the year, things like what type of planes and that kind of thing based on other trips that I've taken this year that I want to share with you, but I wanted to share this experience with you as well. So if the sound's a little different, of course, this is being recorded on a phone, and we'll do the audio as quickly as we can. So currently, I'm in central Germany, about 2 hours north of Frankfurt, and it's a bit of a jet lag getting used to. So I was flying early yesterday morning from Bangkok to Frankfurt via Muscat, so I figured I might as well get over the jet lag and share some information here. So the trip, it did start, my longest flight ever, from Toronto to Taipei. It is a direct flight with EVA Airways, and that's with a 777ER from Boeing, and the flight altogether came to 14 hours and 20 minutes. This is a good flight that I chose particularly so that I could sort of take advantage of the late leaving flight and not have to worry about sleeping, waking up in Toronto, and sort of losing 10 to 12 hours. I could just jump in a plane and do the sleep while I'm on it. So this particular flight is the second last flight of the night from Toronto. It is, there's one other one, the Cathay flight that goes to Hong Kong. That leaves about 5 minutes later, but it is the last one from Terminal 1 for the night. So because of that, and because it's so late and all the international rush hour is long since done, the international check-in in Toronto is closed at that time. So you complete your check-in with the EVA, and then you go to the domestic security in Toronto and pass through that to be able to get to the gate. Of course, the duty-free is still open for any last, for these last flyers who want their last Canadian duty-free items. But for the most part, the airport is largely closed, and they will, then you board the plane, really very straightforward. Very nice plane. I booked premium economy, largely because EVA was the one who had pioneered the concept years ago to have a premium economy class, and had a bulkhead seat and was very comfortable. I proceeded to order, I figured because I was on a flight to Taipei, should order a Taipei menu, so I had the Taiwanese pork chop, and for breakfast I had congee with fish floss. Was very good, and I got a reasonable amount of sleep, so I appreciate that. It was relatively smooth. It was also interesting looking at the map over Alaska, Yukon, and seeing places that I had driven in the last couple years and being able to pinpoint it. So I fell asleep from Toronto from a place in Ontario called Pickle Lake. Yes, like the cucumber in a jar. And I woke up approximately somewhere around Fairbanks, north of Fairbanks in Alaska. Then I fell asleep again and woke up off the coast of Hokkaido, Sapporo, and that part of Japan. So 4.5 plus 3.5, so 8 hours of sleep was actually pretty decent on a flight. And our flight arrived early into Taipei. We were there at 20 after 4 a.m., so 0420. And there was a lot of flights arriving in Taipei at that time, so everywhere from San Francisco or Los Angeles or Ontario, California, to Auckland, New Zealand, and other parts of Australia, all arriving at that early hour. Stuff wasn't open yet in the airport for, say, a food court or that kind of thing, which is a little bit interesting but understandable because there's no domestic passengers yet. I wandered around, and since I landed at Terminal 2, I wanted to see Terminal 1, and walking and connecting to the people mover, the SkyTrain, between both terminals, it's a bit of a hidden sort of, almost like you're walking in back corridors of the airport to actually make this connection, more so than even other airports I've been to, almost like they don't want you to be there. And so did that. One of the reasons why I did it was I was taking the train into downtown Taipei, and because the ATM had only provided me 1,000 note, the ticket machine wouldn't take that denomination. The credit card system wouldn't work at Terminal 2, so then I took it over to Terminal 1, and there was an actual desk with a person at it who could actually give me change and give me the token. So took the train into downtown Taipei, proceeded to catch a cab with an Uber to a friend's apartment in Taipei, and spent about 24 hours in the city. Enjoyed it, went to Taipei 101, went to the zoo, went to a national park complete with a dormant volcano, went to a night market. So it was a really great 24 hours in the area. And the following day, took a cab at 7 in the morning, about a 50-minute cab ride out to the airport, and proceeded to check in for a flight to Da Nang in Vietnam. And so that was a straightforward process. Checked through, they double-checked my visa, made sure stuff was all right, and was in an A330, right full of people. I guess it's a popular flight with Canadians because I had about 5 or 6 people sitting around me, all carrying Canadian passports. So they may have just decided to catch the late night from Toronto and make the early morning connection to Vietnam. And I actually know someone in Canada who did this relatively recently, within the last 2 months. And so landed at Da Nang. Nice new airport. Very straightforward, and passport control was easy, and the only delay was a bag my bag took about 40 minutes to come off the belt in Da Nang. So kudos to the friends who I met by chance taking the same flight. They waited, and then we caught a hotel shuttle into Da Nang, and we're staying on the beach for approximately a week. So it was a straightforward experience. Everything was decent about Da Nang, just the baggage. So that has nothing really to do with the airport, more with the ground handling company that took care of it. After time in Da Nang and other locations around Da Nang, so Hue and Hoi An, then I proceeded to take a flight to Hanoi, and this was with Vietnam Airlines, and it was with a 737. And there had been a massive thunderstorm in Hanoi before, or actually earlier in that day. And so this plane proceeded to take the long way around, almost sort of an S, to sort of get up and around the storm. So the detour was about as long as the scheduled flight. So we were an extra hour in the air. I noticed when I fell asleep that on the displays it said, "Oh, there's still 40 minutes." And I said, "Well, I've been sleeping for 40 minutes, and what's going on?" And then saw the weather map and pretty much flew through right along the border with Laos, and then all the way up to the border with China, and then sort of came in from the north to be able to land at the terminal in Hanoi. So it had been delayed. Vietnam Airlines had delayed my flight, or advised that there had been equipment issues, so they had delayed the departure, but then there had been this additional delay. So altogether it was about 3.5 hours late from the original scheduled the original scheduled booking. It was I took an I took a Grab into downtown Hanoi and stayed at a very nice hotel and walked around the old town the following day, went to the train street, got really close to a train as it came by, and then I had a late afternoon flight that did get moved as well by Vietnam Airlines to Siem Reap, Angkor. So this is a very new airport as compared to the old one, and it's a long way out of the city. This is about 50 kilometers out of downtown Siem Reap. And if you want, actually, Grab gives you the option to go the 50 kilometers in a tuk-tuk, which would be interesting, but I don't think I'd want to do that for that length of time. Had a very nice driver, another nice hotel in the center of Siem Reap, and then the following day, toured around the Angkor complex, and then from Angkor proceeded out to the airport again, and this time I was taking a new airline, so this would have been Bangkok Airways, and so I'd never flown with a ATR 72 propeller plane, but I had decided to take this. It was an easy way out from Siem Reap, and it was a straightforward experience. The airport in Siem Reap is new, appears to be provided funding by some Chinese agency that was helping them set up. Security was straightforward, and airport at the time was pretty quiet, so I'm not sure how much they're planning to increase the amount of tourism direct into Siem Reap, but it is a very nice airport and seems a little bit like it's going to have something, people grow into it kind of thing. Arrived in Bangkok, and given where we were located and because we were in a propeller plane, we got the bus into the terminal and dropped off there. Straightforward immigration line. Bangkok, as always, is super busy. And proceeded to get the bag, get the shuttle to the airport hotel, and stayed at two nights at this particular hotel. But traffic, of course, Bangkok being Bangkok, traffic was sheer madness and busy as always. And I know I won't complain about traffic in Toronto after experiencing all the things that I saw in Bangkok. I toured around the city the following day, had some wonderful lunch buffet at the Mandarin Hotel, recommended by a friend, and the reclining Buddha and the couple other temples that I did see was quite amazing. And the city, of course, is travel inside the city is madness, both in the metro and on the highways. And proceeded back to the hotel for a 9 a.m. flight the following day. Woke up really early at 4 o'clock and caught the shuttle to the airport and proceeded to check in for Oman Air to Muscat. Very straightforward. Because I had booked a points ticket that was split class between first and business, I got a fast track check-in at their fast track security at Bangkok. So that moved very quickly. My security line was empty. There was nobody there. And the funny thing was, I had seen a couple 7-Elevens in Bangkok, and then at the security, just before security, I saw a lot, and saw all of these Japanese convenience stores were making themselves visible. Through the check-in, went to the lounge. So Oman Air has their own lounge in Bangkok, and so it was a very nice experience. A decent selection of food, both Western and Mid-Eastern, and sat and relaxed and did a few things and got called to the gate. And I had a first class section on this flight. So Oman Air has rebranded their first class to something called Business Studio, but it was very nice. I'm not sure if this is a bit of a vanity project by one of the by the Sultanate, but first class was empty besides me, and I don't know how many there were in business, but I think it's also a case of exposure and cargo. So there's a reason why this plane is flying. Also, that you've got emirs and sultans in the Mideast, and I think they're all sort of looking at each other and making sure that they're all playing the game. So you cannot not have good service from from your airport. And I must say the service was wonderful. Got the pajamas. Have it has the sliding doors to give you a bit of a studio, and I picked from the Omani cuisine menu, delicious selections, and flight was very smooth, very straightforward. Managed to get a little bit of a sleep, probably a couple hours, and then we landed at Muscat. The airport is very new, very nice, and I know that we had previously interviewed Marco, and he had commented about the airport, so his recommendation was a reason why I also had picked it. And transfer security was a little bit chaotic. There had been a mix of the pointy end of the plane and the economy end of the plane, and people, not able to queue up very well, and people who were managing the queue not doing that great of a job. That was a minor point, but just making sure that you pick the correct queue, making sure that things are all right. Another thing about Muscat Airport is there is Wi-Fi available, apparently, if you give them your local mobile number. So if you're trying to not be on roaming, it's very difficult for you to get any Wi-Fi in Muscat Airport. I couldn't find anything that was sort of free and available without providing a phone number. So I went without Wi-Fi, without any connection. Even in the business lounge that I went to on the 5th floor, very, very, very nice business lounge, and has everything from the children's section to multiple restaurant and bar and other things. So it's a very, very nicely laid out lounge, and it had won apparently a few awards as well. And the other thing about Muscat Airport I've noticed is, unlike other locations who crank the AC, even though it was desert heat outside, the air conditioning wasn't stifling, so I worn a little bit more on the flight to stay warm. but it was definitely a little bit too much inside the terminal, and I was a bit of a sweaty mess, so it wasn't super comfortable that way, but I managed to get back on the plane, get the business class to Frankfurt, which was also wonderful. The staff were great. Service in English, Arabic, Italian, and Tagalog, so that was an interesting collection of languages that were available by the staff. The staff I noticed on the Frankfurt flight, seemed to be a much larger selection of people from around the world on the flight, and not just appearing to be from the region or Omani themselves. Food was good. It was comfortable to sleep, and the plane was very nice. Again, a 787. These are all pretty recent planes that Oman Air has. Arrival in Frankfurt, Terminal 2, because Oman Air is part of One World, and managed to look out the window, saw the Terminal 3 almost being completed at Frankfurt. That's going to be opening, I believe, next year. Security was, customs and immigration was straightforward, and a bit of a wait for the luggage, but within a reasonable length of time, still 20 to 25 minutes, probably because I was at the front and obviously the luggage can't come that fast. Then going through Frankfurt Airport, it's a bit of a chaotic mess at the moment. When you're trying to connect to a train, they are doing renovations for the previous sky bridge that connected the long distance train station to the airport itself. So you sort of have to go down into the basement and then back up and around. So it's not as direct and nice as it has been, but I guess the connection is coming on. Good grief, almost 25 years now, 25 to 30 years since it was first installed. So renovations obviously are needed. Going forward, I have a straightforward inter-European A320 flight to Vienna, and that will be just an hour-ish flight. And then I decided, since I had never been to Luxembourg before, flying from Vienna to Luxembourg in a Q400, and so that will be fairly straightforward. Train from Luxembourg to Frankfurt. Hopefully Deutsche Bahn decides to keep their part of the bargain and keep things on time. And from Frankfurt to Toronto in an A330, and I'm in premium economy for that. We'll see how that goes. And obviously, because there's premium economy, this should be Air Canada metal, unlike other A330s that I was on earlier this year that weren't. And I will touch on that in an upcoming experience. So all in all, 3/4 of the way around the world, and definitely seen some interesting things and some interesting experiences, and wanted to take the time to record the thoughts. And I wanted to get back on track here for the rest of 2025. So once again, I appreciate everybody who's listening. I apologize for the delays in getting things recorded and sent out, but that does wrap up experience 83 of the Seat 1A podcast. And as we have said before, I'm Geoff, and in honor of a former host, you're cleared for takeoff, and have a great flight.